Hi, I'm Daphne Richards, and this is Augie. Our question of the week comes from Nettie Birnbaum, who asks, do we need to clean plastic six-packs or pots and clay pots to reuse them for cuttings or to plant new container plants? And how should we do it, and do we need to sterilize them against disease? Well, Nettie, the answer is a resounding yes. All pots should be cleaned and gently scrubbed before reuse. Although the likelihood of contamination is low, it's always better to err on the side of caution. At the very least, use a warm, slightly soapy liquid and a scrub brush to remove all the remaining debris from the container. You should also, whenever possible, use a weak bleach solution to disinfect any possible microbes, especially square containers like those six-packs where it's almost impossible to get all of the potting soil out of those corners. To make a 10% bleach solution, simply mix 1 part bleach to 9 parts water. Be sure to rinse those bleached containers well and allow them to thoroughly dry before reusing them. And just a reminder about repotting plants. In containers, plants prefer to be crowded, so don't use too large of a container. A good rule of thumb is to move up only one container size, for example, from a 4-inch pot to a 6-inch one. When transplanting container plants, and if you are creating a container with multiple different plants, maybe for a splash of annual color near your porch or patio, be sure to fill the container entirely with each plant almost on top of the other one, so that you can barely, if at all, see the soil. Our plant of the week is Cenizo, Leucophyllum frutescens. Texas sage, Cenizo, is also known as purple sage, Texas ranger, and many other common names. Cenizo is extremely drought tough and needs very little water once it's established. In fact, this shrub does not like wet feet, so be very careful if you're planting it in clay soils. There are different varieties of Cenizo to choose from, differing not only in leaf and flower color, but also in height and width. So when choosing this plant, be very careful to get a variety that has the characteristics that you want, especially when it comes to size. Cenizo does not respond well to heavy pruning, so if it outgrows its space in your landscape, you won't be able to prune it back and keep it smaller. Overly pruned Cenizos will show lots of dieback, especially in the center of the plant, with only a little growth at the tips. Unfortunately, this shrub is often planted in rows and sheared back to make a hedge. This is not a good practice and will cause the shrubs to look very ugly, twiggy, and almost dead, which they will be, since most of the living tissue will have been removed. The most common Cenizos have gray-green leaves with light lavender flowers, but you might also find varieties with a greener leaf and deeper lavender blooms. More rarely, you might even find some with white blooms. Some will also have larger and more flowers than others, giving you a wide palette to choose from. I've even seen Texas sages abandoned by the side of the freeway in El Paso, happily blooming their heads off in the full heat of summer after the rainy season has arrived. These West Texas natives are also known as barometer bush because they bloom in response to heat and relative humidity, leading some to say that they are good predictors of rain. Cenizos require full sun to bloom and be healthy, and really don't tolerate shady areas. To do in your garden this week, plant summer annuals like cosmos, celosia, sunflowers, zinnias, and angelonia. And if you have a lawn, you can go ahead and fertilize it now. We'd love to hear from you. Please visit klru.org/ctg to send us your question or a plant of the week from your garden.